Well, I'm back talking about CST exam, but mainly I'm back about talking about something I'm going to provide, or I'm providing to my students here at Southern Technical College. We just tried to do a live. Well, that busted. Live is not easy. Not to mention no one was on there. But if you watch this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about CST exams and this new clinical guidebook that I produced. It's on Amazon. So it's called Surgical Technologist. Yes, I made a book. Yeah, it's shocking, right? My theory on this is that all resources, all profits are going to go towards externships, gas cards, and stuff like that. So if you're buying this for your own self, which, let me put this mic down here so you guys, I can show it to you, and I'll edit it out. But if you buy this surgical guide, what it has in there is a lot of ways to write cases, right? Such as trays, equipment, the actual procedure, miscellaneous. So it has about 120 areas to write your case notes. You can use this in conjunction with the case requirements. So you need 120 cases, right? 30 general, 90 specialty. We all know that. We have to divvy it up into those categories. So this book I made, right? It also gives in the beginning some tips, in my opinion, how to be successful as a CST, right? Can apply it to anything in the healthcare field, but more or less gives you a little kind of segue of how to navigate the OR in the beginning, a little introduction, but more so this book is a note gathering book. Up to 120 cases in here, right? Doesn't have them put in, you're gonna be putting those in, right? So case notes, I call it, or in this case, a surgical technologist clinical guide available on Amazon. Ta-da! Just remember, all resources go towards students, right? I'm not trying to retire off that. Enough being said, and we're gonna roll into it, talk about CST exams. So if you didn't know, the CST has produced a new 4th edition. Maybe you do, but all you get your gold bundles. Most schools will buy something called a gold bundle. It's not gold. I'm not sure why you call it a gold bundle, but it's a bundled that schools buy. It buys you the book, gets you a test, so you can take obviously the CST exam at the very end. But that being said, a lot of this study in this book, what do you guys think about this AST new 4th edition book? My perspective of it is that, I'm not sure if you hear me on this microphone, that it's broken down into categories now. You know, what example am I trying to give here? And as I'm talking, maybe I'll take a pictures of what I'm talking about here. The guide is actually structured a little bit better. It's not just random questions. It is into categories, into the table of contents, anatomy, microbiology. So it's broken down into the little categories of the specialties. So what am I trying to say? It's a little bit more organized. So I will read some questions from here before you go. Don't log off now, so you're here about CST exams. If you stay to the end, like I've been trying to do for a lot of other things, I will provide some of these tests for you. I'll scan them and I'll put them in a PDF. As you know, I have a link for a lot of these exams from the AST. So if you put your name in the comments down below, I'll try to provide that for you. If you're the first couple of the people that put their names in there, I'll try to provide some of these tests for you. I imagine the school is trying to buy these books for you for review because it's the AST new 4th edition. So it makes sense for them to buy it for you, right? What do you guys think about the CST exam? Give me your opinion. Is it hard? The national pass rate is about 70%. That's most credentials that are, at least AB has credentialing requires a 70% pass rate. We're about 91 pass rate. So that seems to be a typical high rate in my opinion. But what do you guys think about the exam itself? Do you think it's hard? What kind of study resources are you doing? And if you are running a program out there in the world, surgical technologist program, how are you structuring your classes? Because I'm trying to figure out ways to structure, at least learn from people also. trying to study for the CST exam. They say you've been through a 2-year program. If you're going for an associate's, you should know a lot of this information. I guess some of the feedback I'm getting is when you're out there, it's hard to relate it or put hands on it, right? So what does that mean? So if you're studying for the CST exam and you're not comfortable with some of the material, make sure you bring it out to clinicals. So if they're talking about a neuro question, maybe it's in your interest to, go out there and apply it. If I'm doing a laminectomy and they're asking what is the instrument used to remove the lamina, maybe you should apply it somehow. In my opinion, most of the questions that they have difficult on, they just don't apply it, or maybe they're not a part of that case too much, or they don't understand it too well. So questions that you have trouble with, bring them to your clinicals and try to apply them. I guarantee your long-term memory, you're going to retain it a lot better than trying to just memorize it and Google it. It helps, and there's a lot of resources out there. Let's talk about AI though. AI. How are you using AI technology? What are some of the options you can use for AI out there? What are you using? Here's what I'm using, right? There's ChatGPT. We have all heard of ChatGPT, right? There's GenSpark. That's another one. It's good for making, organizing your information. There's Gemini. Listen, use AI, right? Not to cheat. And I would say be careful with AI because sometimes it can be wrong, but using this technology would be foolish not to, right? Make sure that you're using AI in the sense of organizing yourself. How do you do that? Man, there's so many ways, right? You can take an exam and transfer that into, for instance, Gemini is what I use, the Pro. You can put that PDF file right in the Gemini and then ask them to break down these questions and give rationales. Instantaneous. Why can't you organize that? At GemSpark, you can do that same PDF and ask to make a PDF or a PowerPoint with pictures or examples of what the question is trying to say. So using AI towards organizing yourself for education would be foolish. You're not doing that. Now, that being said, I'm not using this to cheat because maybe some people do use it to cheat. Not some try, right? It's gonna make you more organized. It's a tool. Doesn't mean that you're not trying to read information, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't have the time to be thoroughly reading books every night. I truly understand that. So why can't we use a quick way to organize? For instance, if you had an ebook, you can literally copy and paste a chapter and organize yourself in some of these AI platforms, right? Structure it out, break it down. But to me, it's questions, right? You can break down questions. You can ask it to identify certain areas you're weak at, try to give rationales, sources. I think it's in your interest to be careful, right? Where are they grabbing these sources from? But to say that you're not going to use it because it might be a slight error on some things, it would be foolish. That's kind of an idiotic thought pattern in my opinion. But that's a good way to just be sure, be aware, and also fact check or make sure that the information within reason to go back and study on this, right? If something doesn't make sense, right, follow up with it, look it up yourself. Anyways, AI, how else am I using AI? Definitely for educator purposes, we're using AI to organize something called Canvas. Obviously structuring it that way, instantaneous, trying to make a module. You can use that. You can add a little bit more colorful aspect to the Canvas. So using AI in that sense is it's all about organizing yourself and time management. Would you rather type in 175 questions in the Canvas, or would you rather use it to put it into a code where you could instantaneously put this into Canvas? I think the latter is probably the obvious one. You're trying to organize yourself and save time, right? How are you using AI out there? What is your opinion? Anyways, let's read 2 questions because I know you stuck around here about 7 minutes. We're gonna make this about a 10-minute video. I come across a couple questions that I haven't seen before. What are they? What are these questions? Well, we're gonna jump into a couple questions. Just to let you know, this is the new 4th edition AST book. Obviously, if you sign up through their Gold Bundle, you can buy this right on the AST website. And no, I am not sponsored by the AST. This is just the only resource that AST provides. I actually recommend them to do modules or do something online that would help out, and they can make a little bit more money, make it a little bit more uniformed, taking these tests. But there's multiple tests. There's a huge practice test, and there's multiple tests into certain categories. For instance, you can study microbiology and take a practice test. You can study sterile processes, study sterile processing, and then take a practice test. Say that 10 times fast. So I'm just going to read off a couple questions to you, because it's not one of those videos. I really wanted to advertise the book that I'm providing, which is the AST Clinical Guide. If you buy this on Amazon, it is, I think, about $19. I might bring this price down a little bit, but up to 120 something cases you could take notes on for your clinical. So if you're going out to clinicals, trying to take notes, I'll put it in a kind of user-friendly with some advice how to get through externships. It's on Amazon. Again, all profits go towards your clinicals. Oh, I'm sorry, go towards expenses for students. So I'm going to randomly choose a question here. We have 2 of them, and then we'll just wrap it up, okay? All right, pick a number between 1 and 5. What's that, 5? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, boom, first page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ugh, a laser. Oh, God. No, don't like it. And I believe this question is right out of like a GI edition where they kind of go over the gastrointestinal. So this question is, and I'll probably take a picture of it and I'll try to put it up on there so you can see it, right? What apron-like structure, here you go, what apron-like structure attached to the greater curvature of the stomach is preserved to prevent lipidemia during a total abdominal hysterectomy? Is it A, the omentum? Is it B, mesentery? Is it C, the ligamentum? Is it D, the periosteum? So again, which apron-like structure is attached to the greater curvature of the stomach? So I'll give you a minute to kind of answer that question in your mind. Otherwise, I'm going to put the answer up. All right, gave you a couple seconds to answer that. We're going to give the answer right now. It's A, the omentum. That is the greater curvature that's attached to the stomach. A is the omentum. All right, we're going to go on the last question here. At least I only told you 2. So stick around here. Last question is, again, from a GI chapter. This is pretty simple. I'll put the picture up, put it up right now. Which stapling device would be used during a, esophageoectomy to divide the esophagus? So which stapling device would be used during esophageoectomy to divide the esophagus? A, a surgiclip, B, an EEA, C, a GIA, or D, a TA? This question revolves around knowing your staples, right? What does EEA stand for? What does GIA stand for? What does TA stand for? And I know I've said this in other videos. What do you think it is? Is it end-to-end anastomosis? Is it a GIA stapler, or is it a TA stapler, thoracic abdominal, or transverse, right? In this case, it's D, a transverse or a thoracic abdominal stapler. All right, well, make sure you like and subscribe. Spread this information. Realistically, if you donate, there's a little thank thing in the bottom of these videos. Any donations, and obviously if you want to become a member. Again, if you stay to the end here, put your name in the comments. Right. If I see at least the first 3 in there, I'm going to provide a link for you. Try to get copies of these exams, and I'll send them to you PDF-wise. Okay? I'll send you to a Google class, and a lot of this information will be on there. Okay? Don't forget, like and subscribe, and go purchase one of these clinical guides. I put a lot of work into this. Anyways, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. On next videos, I'm going to put up a little bit more thorough CST exams. Obviously, I was just trying to try to do a live. It failed. This is my attempt to advertise this book and try to get donations for the students. All right. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.